Lyra's Multidimensional Adventures. Starlight Awakens. 12-year-old Lyra gazed out of her bedroom window where, in the middle distance, the cityscape of 2025 Epsilon sparkled like constellations stitched into the blanket of the night sky. The skyline was alive, a pulsing panorama of towering skyscrapers covered in shifting holographic projections. Massive ad boards floated above the cityscape with the help of silent drones, hanging in the sky like colourful clouds, casting faint glows into the streets below. Lyra could make out the latest commercial from Stardust Soda, featuring a 3D tiger leaping through glowing hoops, its roar echoing faintly, even from miles away. She wondered how anyone could sleep with all that brightness and noise, but she liked the way that the city made her feel. She felt alive. It was like a massive, beating heart. Tonight, though, the city's glow wasn't enough to cheer her. She rested her chin on her hand, feeling both amazed by its energy and weighed down by a sense of just being another speck in the bustling noise. She often thought about how different life might have been in her old town, a place where the stars were visible and the loudest sound was the occasional train passing through. Somewhere outside, she could hear the soothing sounds of crickets, blending with the rhythmic whirring of the AC unit behind her house, creating a symphony of natural and man-made sounds that encapsulated her life. She had always liked that mix. It was like living in two worlds, one rooted in the serenity of nature, the other buzzing with the hum of progress. The forest behind her house provided the quiet she craved after long days at school, but the city offered endless excitement and possibilities. The two places felt like the opposite halves of her own restless soul. Her house, too, was a blend of old and new. The charming wooden exterior was a relic from a simpler era, but inside, every room was equipped with the latest smart home tech. Iris, the family's AI assistant, was always chiming in with reminders or suggestions. Lyra's mum loved it, often asking Iris for updates on the stock market or recipes for dinner. Lyra, on the other hand, found Iris more annoying than helpful. "Don't forget to review your math app today, Lyra," it would say. Or, "Would you like me to suggest a bedtime routine for optimal sleep performance?" She had started muting it whenever she was alone. She had lived here for about 2 years and had just started to feel connected to her environment. Moving to Epsilon hadn't been easy. Her old town was small, quiet, and familiar. Here, everything was faster and more competitive. The kids at school talked about building apps or creating content online like it was no big deal. For months, she felt like she was on the outside looking in. Then she made a few friends who shared her love for exploration. Kids who would rather climb trees in the forest or stare at the stars than spend hours perfecting their avatars in the metasphere. But even with friends, Lyra felt out of place sometimes. She couldn't help comparing herself to the confident kids who seemed to thrive in this tech-driven world. They made success look effortless, while she often felt overwhelmed just trying to figure out where she fit in. Lately, she'd started to feel different, somewhat disconnected. It wasn't just the usual challenges of being 12 or adjusting to a new place. Something deeper was tugging at her. In class, she found herself drifting into daydreams more often than not. Her math teacher, Mr. Beger, was constantly catching her staring out the window. "Lyra, focus," he would snap, and she would apologize, embarrassed, but unable to explain the restlessness bubbling inside her. At home, things weren't much better. Her parents seemed to expect more from her now that she was getting older. Chores, homework, extracurriculars. It felt like every minute of her day was planned out by someone else. Even Banjo, her tiny terrier, seemed to notice her frustration, often curling up next to her with a worried expression, as if to say, "It's okay, Lyra, I'm here." It wasn't until she had a dream one night that her real journey began. The dream was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She stood on a bridge made of shimmering light, stretching out into a vast expanse of stars. The stars moved, danced, and hummed like they were alive. In the center of it all was a figure cloaked in luminescent blue light, with eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies. "Lyra," the figure said, its voice deep and resonant. "You are more than you know. Find the star within. Remember." When Lyra woke, her heart was racing. The dream felt too vivid to dismiss, but also too surreal to just accept. She could still hear the figure's voice, feel the light of the stars warming her skin, but there was no time to dwell on it. Her mum was calling her to get ready for school, and Banjo was scratching at her door for his morning cuddle. Lyra's first clue came a week later, during a field trip to the Natural History Museum. Her classmates were buzzing with excitement about the museum's AI exhibit, which featured a holographic account of the dinosaur extinction event. Lyra tried to get into it, but her attention kept wandering. She found herself drawn to an older, less flashy section called Ancient Myths of the Stars. The room was dimly lit, filled with artifacts and faded diagrams. One display in particular caught her eye, a silver pendant shaped like a spiral galaxy. As she approached, she felt an odd vibration in the air, like a faint hum just out of hearing range. When she placed her hand on the glass, images flooded her mind, nebulae, radiant beings, and the same shimmering bridge from her dream. Shaken but intrigued, Lyra couldn't ignore the connection. That night, she stayed up late researching spiral symbols and their meanings in myths and legends. The more she read, the more fascinated she became. Spirals represented transformation, cosmic energy, and the connection between the material and spiritual realms. Her parents, unaware of her midnight studies, were perplexed by her sudden interest in ancient history. "Are you planning a school project we don't know about?" her dad asked one evening, to which Lyra only shrugged. But Lyra wasn't just researching, she was remembering. Images would flash in her mind when she least expected them, a vast sky filled with unfamiliar constellations, a feeling of soaring through endless space. She began sketching these memories in her journal, trying to piece together the puzzle of who she was, or who she might have been. Her next breakthrough came one rainy afternoon. Tired of her parents' questions and the monotony of homework, Lyra decided to visit her favourite spot, an abandoned observatory on the outskirts of town. She had discovered it shortly after moving to Epsilon, and it had become her refuge. As she stepped inside, the air felt charged, as if the room itself was alive. The old telescope, which had always seemed more decorative than functional, now gleamed as if newly polished. Without thinking, Lyra peered through it. Instead of the grey clouds she expected to see, there was a single star glowing with brilliant blue light. It pulsed, almost as if it were breathing, and Lyra felt tears prick her eyes. "Who am I?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The star seemed to blink in response, and warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she felt a sense of calm. The questions didn't feel so urgent anymore. She didn't need to understand everything at once. She just needed to keep going. In the weeks that followed, Lyra began to embrace her awakening. She experimented with meditation, learning to quiet her mind and listen to the subtle whispers of the universe. It wasn't easy. Her thoughts often raced, filled with worries about school or her parents' expectations. But with practice, she started to find moments of stillness. She also began noticing things she hadn't before. People seemed to carry faint trails of light around them, almost like auras. When she focused, she could sense their emotions: joy, fear, anger, all radiating like invisible waves. It was overwhelming at first, especially at school where so many emotions swelled around her. But Lyra soon realized she could use this sensitivity to help others. Her friends noticed the change in her. "You're different lately," her friend Mia said one day. "It's like you see things the rest of us don't." Lyra smiled but didn't explain. How could she describe what she was experiencing? Even she didn't fully understand. At home, Lyra's newfound awareness brought both challenges and growth. Her parents, puzzled by her sudden interest in meditation and ancient myths, worried that she was withdrawing from the family. "Is everything okay?" her mum asked one evening, her tone tinged with concern. Lyra hesitated before answering. "I'm just figuring some things out," she said. Despite their concerns, her parents began to notice small changes in her. Lyra was more patient, more thoughtful with her words. She started helping her younger brother with his homework without even being asked, and even surprised her mum by cleaning the kitchen one evening. "Who are you, and what have you done with my daughter?" her dad joked. Yet Lyra's journey wasn't without its struggles. There were days when she felt lost, unable to reconcile her ordinary life with the extraordinary experiences she was having. At school, she sometimes felt isolated, unable to share her thoughts with anyone. And then there were moments of doubt. What if she was imagining it all? What if the dreams and visions were just her mind playing tricks on her? But every time she felt herself slipping into doubt, something would happen to reassure her. A synchronicity, a stranger's smile that would light up her day, or a flock of birds moving in perfect synchrony, reminding her of the interconnectedness of all things. As Lyra continued her journey, she began to see her experiences as both a challenge and a gift. She started reading more about the cosmos, mysticism, and ancient philosophies. The library became her second home, a place where she could explore the mysteries of the universe without interruption. One day, flipping through an old book on celestial navigation, Lyra came across a passage that resonated deeply. "The stars do not hold our destiny. They reflect the light within us." She paused, letting the words sink in. For the first time, she understood that her journey wasn't about finding answers in the stars. It was about uncovering the light already inside of her. And so Lyra began to trust herself. She no longer sought approval from her teachers or friends, nor did she let her parents' worries weigh her down. She still faced challenges, of course, navigating middle school's social hierarchies, juggling her responsibilities at home, and finding out who she wanted to be. But now, she approached these challenges with a quiet confidence, knowing that she was connected to something far greater than herself. Lyra's journey was just beginning, but she no longer feared the unknown. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, and she carried its light within her. And that, in itself, was amazing.